If you were offered one final meal, what would you choose? Would you pick a childhood favorite or try something you've never tried before? These death row inmates were asked this question, and this is what they chose. Andrew Chan. Andrew was an Australian tourist trying to make a quick payday by attempting to smuggle $4 million worth of heroin past airport security. Indonesian laws around smuggling can be harsh, and in Andrew's case, it carried the death penalty. Inmates in Indonesia don't get a final meal. He was, however, allowed to order 2 KFC takeouts. At least he got to enjoy that finger-licking goodness one last time. Velma Barfield. Velma was the first woman to be executed by lethal injection. Her long list of 6 victims earned her the title of Death Row Granny. For her last meal, Velma kept it short and sweet: cheese doodles and Coca-Cola. Not too appetizing, but it is tastier than what they serve in retirement homes. Timothy James McVeigh. One of America's deadliest domestic terrorists, Timothy McVeigh didn't make any outrageous request for his last indulgence. All he asked for was 2 pints of mint chocolate chip ice cream. That's a lot of ice cream, maybe a bit too much. Eileen Wuornos. Eileen's life was filled with crime, abuse, and trauma. Her upbringing forced her into the hands of men that would take advantage of her, many of which she murdered in cold blood. Eileen's request was very straightforward: 1 cup of black coffee. I guess she needed a caffeine fix. James Edward Smith. Convicted armed robber and murderer, Edward Smith was a man that made some weird choices in life. Usually, when someone's on death row, their final request involves something that reminds them of their past. However, Smith wanted to try something different. For his last meal on Earth, he requested a piece of it: a lump of Rayakunda dirt. Sadly, the prison denied this request and just gave him a cup of plain yogurt instead. I promise they taste the same. Ajmal Kasab. Kasab got his place on death row for his involvement in the 2008 Mumbai terrorist attacks. I'm not sure if the authorities were serious when they gave him a basket of tomatoes as his last meal. Did he have a tomato allergy, or am I missing something? David Mason. Mason didn't really think about much in his final moments. All he asked for was a glass of ice-cold water. I guess he was a chill guy after all. David Leon Woods. When David was given his execution date, he smiled and asked for his final meal to include pizza and a birthday cake, which is weird because it wasn't his birthday. I guess he just wanted to celebrate the occasion one last time. Victor Fager. Victor didn't request a final meal. Instead, he asked for a single pitted olive. He told the guards he hoped an olive tree would sprout from his grave as a sign of peace. I wonder if a tree really did take root. Joseph Mitchell Parsons. Parsons was a simple guy with tastes any American food lover could relate to. His last meal consisted of 3 Burger King Whoppers, 2 large orders of fries, a chocolate shake, chocolate chip ice cream, and a packet of grape bubblegum. Parsons' attorney said his client chose this meal because the Burger King slogan, "Have it your way," was a reflection of him taking control of his life. Christopher Brooks. Brooks wanted something quick and sweet, so he had 2 peanut butter cups and a Dr. Pepper. I still think he could have done better than a Dr. Pepper. Ricky Ray Rector. Despite having serious brain damage, Rector was still determined to enjoy a last good meal. His final request included all the foods he loved, including steak, fried chicken, cherry Kool-Aid, and delicious pecan pie. Strangely, Rector didn't finish the pecan pie. He said he was saving it for later. Yeah, he never really got back to that pie. John Wayne Gacy. The infamous clown killer Gacy, with 33 charges of murder, had some rather questionable food choices. On May 9th, 1994, everyone's least favorite clown's final request for a private picnic consisted of a bucket of KFC, a dozen fried shrimp, French fries, fresh strawberries, and Diet Coke. Okay, I got 2 questions. Since when do killer clowns like strawberries? And why would anybody want Diet Coke to be the last thing they taste? Stanley Tookie Williams III. Even though he founded one of the most infamous street gangs in America, Williams still enjoyed the simple things in life. He ordered oatmeal and milk before being executed. Never get between a gangster and his oatmeal. Thomas J. Grasso. Grasso was a convicted murderer who seemed to have an axe to grind with the elderly. His gut-busting last meal consisted of 2 dozen steamed mussels, 2 dozen steamed clams, a double cheeseburger from Burger King, a half a dozen barbecued spare ribs, 2 strawberry milkshakes, 1/2 of a pumpkin pie with whipped cream, diced strawberries, and a can of SpaghettiOs with meatballs. In his final moment, Grasso claimed, "I did not get my SpaghettiOs. I got spaghetti. I want the press to know this." Don't worry, Grasso. We know and we don't care. Lawrence Russell Brewer. Lawrence was 2 things no human should ever be, a white supremacist and a spoiled brat. For his last meal, he ordered 2 chicken fried steaks smothered in gravy and sliced onions, a triple meat bacon cheeseburger, a cheese omelet, a large bowl of fried okra with ketchup, a pound of barbecue beef with a half loaf of white bread, a meat lover's pizza from Pizza Hut, 3 cans of root beer, homemade ice cream, and last but not least, a slab of peanut butter fudge with crushed peanuts. Sounds delicious, right? Well, Brewer didn't eat any of it. Even in the face of one last act of kindness, Brewer claimed that he just wasn't hungry. Texas no longer offers last meals as a result. Dobie Gills Williams. His final request was more of a snack rather than a meal. Williams asked just for 1 ice cream and 12 candy bars. Talk about a sweet tooth. Gary Carl Simmons Jr. Usually, prisoners order junk food like burgers for their last meal, but Simmons had bigger plans, about 28,974 calories bigger. He ordered 10 8-ounce packs of Parmesan cheese, 10 8-ounce packs of ranch dressing, 1 medium Pizza Hut Super Supreme deep dish pizza, 1 family-sized bag of Doritos, an 8-ounce jalapeno nacho cheese, 4 ounces of sliced jalapenos, 2 large strawberry shakes, 2 20-ounce cherry Cokes, McDonald's fries with extra ketchup and mayonnaise, and finally, 2 pints of strawberry ice cream. The next inmate may have shared the same crimes as Simmons, but not his appetite. Gerald Lee Mitchell. On the day of his execution, Mitchell was in the mood for something sweet and made his final request a single pack of assorted Jolly Ranchers. You can't really expect much from a guy that murders people. Andrew Lackey. Lackey didn't seem to have much of an appetite during his final hours and only ordered grilled cheese and bologna sandwiches with french fries. This sounds like a high schooler's lunch rather than a last meal. Wanda Jean Allen. Sometimes it's the simpler things in life, but hey, to each their own. Her last request was for a single bag of chips. Wanda's final moments were just as childish as her request. She stuck her tongue out at the guards. Peter J. Miniel. Miniel was a man that knew how to make the most of a bad situation, and his final meal reflected that. He requested 20 beef tacos, 20 beef enchiladas, 2 double cheeseburgers, a pizza with jalapenos, fried chicken, spaghetti with salt, half a chocolate and vanilla cake, cookies and cream ice cream, caramel pecan fudge ice cream, a small fruit cake, 2 Coca-Colas, 2 Pepsi-Colas, 2 root beers, and 2 glasses of orange juice. As the drugs began taking effect, he said he felt a burning sensation. I think that's the brimstone. Ronnie Lee Gardner. Spending 25 long years in the court system can really work up an appetite. Before Gardner would face execution by firing squad, he wanted to have a taste of the finer things in life. His last meal consisted of steak, lobster tail, apple pie, vanilla ice cream, and 7-Up. However, in addition to the food, he also asked for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. He was even allowed to finish the whole thing before his execution. Replace that 7-Up with a bottle of wine, and you can call it a dinner date. Stephen Wayne Anderson. Anderson was a contract and serial killer with an IQ of 136 and a bit of a jolly attitude. It's kinda weird seeing somebody smiling in a mugshot. Anderson's final request was 2 grilled cheese sandwiches, 1 pint of cottage cheese, a corn mixture, 1 slice of peach pie, 1 pint of chocolate chip ice cream, and lastly, radishes. Lots of radishes. The guy must have loved radishes. Teresa Lewis. Teresa was the first and last woman to be executed in the state of Virginia. She murdered her husband and stepson so that she could claim a $250,000 life insurance policy. Despite her troubled family life, Teresa wanted something that reminded her of home. She ordered 2 fried chicken breasts, sweet peas with butter, a Dr. Pepper, and an apple pie, just like Mama used to make them. Philip Workman. Workman's case had been a rather controversial one with several appeals and overturned rulings. His previous execution was canceled 37 minutes shy of his scheduled death. Unfortunately, he wasn't so lucky the second time around. Instead of a meal for himself, Workman requested that a homeless person be given 1 large vegetarian pizza. His request was denied, and he died without eating anything. I don't think death row's the time or place to be the hero. Stephen Woods. Steven's last meal gives me the impression that he had beef with the vegan community. He requested 1 kilo of bacon strips, 1 large pizza with bacon, sausage, and pepperoni, fried chicken, Mountain Dew, Pepsi, root beer, sweet tea, ice cream, 2 burgers with bacon, fries, and a dozen garlic breadsticks with marinara on the side. A feast any meat lover could get behind. Robert Alton Harris. On April 21, 1992, the state of California was about to have its first execution in over 25 years. Despite facing certain death, Harris was more than willing to make the most of his last request. He asked for a 21-piece bucket of KFC, 2 large Domino's pizzas, a bag of jelly beans, a 6-pack of Pepsi, and a pack of Camel cigarettes. Odell Barnes. This inmate's last request may not have been food-related, but he got exactly what he asked for. Barnes's criminal trial garnered widespread media coverage and activist involvement. His last request was for justice, equality, and world peace. Barnes's request was granted, and he was executed by lethal injection. Robert Dale Conklin. Conklin's final request could be one of the most expensive and outrageous meals ever. For his final banquet, Conklin ordered a baked potato with butter, sour cream, chives, and real bacon bits, corn on the cob, asparagus with hollandaise sauce, French bread with butter, goat cheese, shrimp sautéed in garlic butter with lemon, filet mignon wrapped with bacon, vanilla bean ice cream, and iced tea. Now you gotta give this man points for quality and quantity. Troy Anthony Davis. Troy maintained his innocence throughout his trial and even up until his execution, so taking a last meal was off the table for him. He stated that this wouldn't be his last meal. Sounds like a ghost story waiting to happen. Theodore Robert Bundy. Ted Bundy's probably one of the creepiest, most manipulative killers out there, often using his wit and charm to deceive his victims. Ted declined a final meal, but they were kind enough to give him a medium rare steak, eggs over easy, hash browns, toast with butter and jelly, milk, and juice. He didn't need a single bite. I guess he really wasn't hungry. Alton Coleman. Coleman seemed to enjoy the finer and weirder things in life. His taste became even more apparent in his final meal, which consisted of a salad with French dressing, sweet potato pie topped with whipped cream, French fries, collard greens, onion rings, cornbread, broccoli with melted cheese, fried chicken breast, biscuits and gravy, cherry coke, and a well-done filet mignon smothered with mushrooms. In my opinion, that last part should have earned him a second execution.